Hi all, welcome to another Kingscrusher radio show. So it's Tuesday, 9:10, and I thought we could carry on this week looking at some more amazing games of Garry Kasparov. Okay, so this game was in the 1985 World Chess Championship. Hi all on YouTube, stream and play chess. So 1985 World Chess Championship, Karpov played e4, and we have actually a Sicilian defense. Knight f3, d6, open Sicilian, very exciting stuff by today's standards of exciting opening play. And actually let's add a kimbitzer. Okay, so we have an open Sicilian, and this is pretty standard. Knight off. Karpov plays bishop e2 here, which at first sight is maybe a positional game. You'd think it would be the start of some sort of positional game. Quite often bishop e3 and bishop g5 are also played in this position. So we have bishop e2, e6, castles, main move, bishop e7, now f4. It seems very natural to make use of this rook, and white hasn't used the move yet. You might think getting the king out of this diagonal might be handy, but it's not essential. So here, one of the main moves, just castling. Now king h1, yes, king h1 here. Actually, let's quickly look at this position. In my book, yeah, bishop e3 or king h1 are the two most common moves. I mean, let's have a look at f5 for a moment. I think black's fine with knight e6 in this position. Yeah, it should be fine. Black can get that e5 square. That's the problem with playing f5 too early. So we have king h1, queen c7, and now actually a4. This is the most common move, to clap down on b5. Knight c6, bishop e3, pretty standard stuff actually. Rook e8. So this makes way for the bishop to go to f8 if needed. Bishop f3. And here, yeah, the most common move is played rook b8. Sort of gets out of the firing line of the bishop. Rook b8, pretty standard stuff still. Goes a long way, this theory. Queen d2, bishop d7, knight goes back. Now here, there might be the possibility of a5, which fixes this b6 square. This is stopped by black with b6. And whilst it looks as though this was a positional game, actually this is now going into a hack attack kind of system, because white lashes out with g4. Yeah, it's exciting stuff. g5, the immediate threat, which would win the knight here, because the knight's got no squares. Actually, the knight's got no squares at all. So g5 is the threat. This next move gives d7 a square for the knight. g5, the knight goes there. And quite often here, bishop g2 is played. A slight minor departure. Queen f2 is another alternative move. Queen f2. Bishop f8. Bishop g2. So yeah, this is quite a few games actually, even from this position. We're so deep into the game, it's just very theoretical. This is move 18, very theoretical line. it seems logical to try and put more pressure on the centre now. So bishop b7, this has been played before as well. Rook ad1. And now this move g6, so it's trying to batten down the hatches against f5 at some point. f5, it might actually be possible to play f5 here, but Karpov played bishop c1. And I think this is one of the points about the game. Actually, Karpov was kind of playing in an attacking style. I think he needed to win this game. And it's kind of not entirely his style of play to give up a central square like by playing f5, but this might be the best move. This is all about the king, really. This might be the most dangerous option to play, but it wasn't played here. We have bishop c1, and black potentially puts more pressure down this c file with rook bc8, because there's an idea of now knight b4 and trying to put pressure on c2, maybe, you know, maybe with b5 later, or d5. If black can also put pressure around the center, it goes to the king here. Okay, so we have now this really aggressive looking move, well, potentially aggressive intentions, just to switch the rook here and queen h4. Whilst white controls the d5 square, you might think this is actually quite a nifty position for white. And Kasparov encourages the rook to go to that attacking position. He plays knight b4. So we have rook h3. It's looking scary. But, okay. We have bishop g7 in this position. And again, this is a point where I believe f5 is actually probably demanded now by the position. And actually, again, it just really, it wasn't played here. f5 wasn't played here. If we have a look at this position, if e takes, like the bishop's about to be hemmed in, or even this, it looks dangerous, but yeah, maybe black, maybe black's best is to take here, and it's actually difficult for black. This looks horrendous. If knight f8, this is actually an engine suggestion. This looks totally horrendous. But why? Why not just move the bishop out? Well, I think f7 is the problem. Yeah, this is a mega dangerous position. f7 is the problem. Just fg and crashing through to f7. So not entirely sure why f5 wasn't played. It just seems totally ripe to play this move. If we look at g takes, e takes, again, if we look at this, white doesn't have to take on f5 here. Actually, it seems queen h4 is strong, and this is going to be very interesting for white. That protects a few things. This position here is just going to be good for white. At some point in this line, maybe Karpov was worried about something, but it seems to be the way to play. Maybe he was worried about this sort of thing potentially. If the queen's coming off, you might be left with some weaknesses. But actually, it is technically better for white, this sort of position. But maybe it's not enough. Yeah, if some simplification, black's got some good piece play. So it's a curiosity why. I mean, a little bit of a curiosity why f5 is not played there. We have instead bishop e3. And now this is really start with incredible kind of prophylaxis against f5. Kasparov actually plays rook e7, and his idea is actually to double behind this pawn so that any f5 just taken and take on e3. But this begs the question, of course, what about like f5 in this particular position? Is it already gone, that possibility? King g1 was played. maybe it's still possible to play this, but it's under less favourable circumstance. Takes, and it's tricky actually, because here I think white's best seems to be bishop d4 actually, because if e takes here, bishop takes. This is different. This is very different with that pressure on e3. Black might be doing absolutely fine here. This position might be absolutely fine. In fact, black might be a tiny bit better. So yeah, the more damaging time to play f5 seems to be missed. There was a bit of dithering. This bishop e3, yeah, doesn't help the f5 campaign after rook e7. But certainly f5 is kind of ruled out now with rook c e8. So definitely ruling out because of this e3 bishop. If we just check this out now, rook d1 was played, but let's check out this prophylaxis. What does it do? f5 here, we just take. It's even more favourable for white. If taking here, bishop takes, g2. Actually, in this position, black's getting a massive advantage with bishop takes c3. F takes, knight d5, and where does the bishop go? If it goes anywhere, then there's rook e2 winning the queen, and if it looks passive to play this, this is actually queen c6 threatening double checks, king moves. This is horrible, this position. Yeah, rook takes e3 threatened again. It's devastating. And if bishop d2, then we just take on e1, winning material. So the moment's definitely passed. It's been getting worse and worse to play f5 until finally here it's almost unplayable. The only way white could continue if he wanted f5 there is bishop d4. It's not too hot after takes. Black could even sack. Maybe consider sacking the exchange. I think f takes e4. Bishop takes. Now f7 needs to be protected though, but this position's fine for black. Yeah, it gets to be fine. Even this can be defended. So you get an idea that yeah, black's going to be fine. It's covering f6 here as well critically. The two knights covering f6. Any h7, I think we can just play king h8 without getting blasted. Yeah, it's good enough defense. Resources now available. So anyway, so f5 is not played with good reason now. Rook d1. And in fact, now after all of these threats of playing f5 from white, it's black that plays it here. f5 by black. Putting pressure on the center. We have g takes, knight takes. Yeah, black's pieces are getting a bit active, but he is dropping this pawn. It's a pawn sack potentially. At the moment, though, knight g4 is dangerous, of course. Now, here actually, this pawn. Let's just check out why this pawn wasn't taken. In fact, rook g3. Rook g3 was played in this position. If bishop takes b6, what happens? It might be a move. Bishop takes, just simply bishop takes b6. I think it's fine, technically. Although it's getting a little bit unstable, actually, white's position, because there are numerous things going on here for white to face. But anyway, rook g3 extinguishes at least knight g4 for the moment. Rook f7, again offering this pawn, and it's now taken. Pawn sack. But black actually threatens. There's quite a neat idea here to move the bishop back, have this battery here, and then knight takes c2 would undermine b3. If the b3 knight might be a target pretty soon. In advance of this sort of stuff, we have bishop e3. Just to show this, if bishop e3 is not played, well, might take a while actually. There's other ideas as well though. Knight h5. No, there's other ideas. This is dangerous because of f4 here. It's more than just the b file idea. It's f4 is slightly vulnerable. Okay, so bishop e3 actually protects f4 anyway. Knight h5 in any event. Knight f6. Now here rook h4 was played. This might be a mistake. Maybe white should have played this, but I think he needs to win this game. He actually played rook h4. And it's a really interesting move now played by Kasparov. If I asked you black to play here, what would you play in this position? You might have seen this game before. Any ideas? It's a pretty tense position from a Sicilian. Black sacked the b6 pawn. His pieces seem lively enough. So what would you play here with black? h6. Anything else? d5. I'm not sure these work. d5. Actually, apparently this is good. Bishop c5. Yeah, this looks a bit dodgy after this. This could weaken some key squares. Actually, the move was g5, very dynamic. He's trying to expose the queen to a double attack with knight g4. Now, if f takes g is not played, let's have a look. If rook h3, knight g4, queen moves, knight takes e3. This starts to get a bit horrible. This position for white. Go here. Yeah, black's getting a few dark squares and may even play bishop e5 and rook g7 later. If given the chance here, it starts to look a bit dangerous. So, yeah, the pawn is actually taken. So it's two pawn sacks. Remember, there was a pawn sack on b6. Okay, so now this double attack. Knight g4. Queen d2. So black gets this dark square bishop, but also gets knight takes c2 now. And yeah, the queen actually goes to b6, trying to cover this b file actually. If the queen, let's say the queen goes to e2, check is actually handy. Knight e3. This is a tense position. You might think there's possibilities like queen h5. If queen h5, this knight takes g2 is actually pretty strong because we're crashing down over here. It doesn't matter about this check. This is getting to be bad for the knights. That c3 knight is a victim in this position. Yeah, it's yeah, so we see queen b6, which keeps an eye on black playing this sneaky check here to go to f2. Bishop a8. Now we have rook takes d6, which might be a mistake actually. Rook takes d6. First, it's a major mistake. In fact, white should, it seems, play takes this position. Bishop h3. So giving up knight, but here things are not so clear cut. Let's have a look at this position. Knight's got that massive pin and things get messy. The engine evaluation is about equal actually. This is crazy, but it's, I mean, we're in some sort of perpetual check scenario. It's rook against knight and bishop. It's about equal apparently. Dynamically equal. So anyway, it seems as though queen takes b8 was the best move, it seems. But we have rook takes d6, and now black is crashing through that. That poor knight is exposed after rook b7. Queen takes a6. Now, a simple move here, which was not played. It does seem rather simple and, in a way, and decisive. But it wasn't played. Can you see a sort of simple and devastating move here? Black's play. What does black play here, do you think? Ideally. Can you see a winning move, which might be clear-cut, non-controversial? Okay, yeah, I mean, this is good, right? Rook takes b4 is good, but in fact, simply knight b4 is winning because this rook's just hanging. I mean, it's just hanging the whole rook. Actually, it wasn't played though. I don't think there's too much. If e5 take here, not too much going on. That's ending up miles better. Okay, still a few lines though. Black ends up like 0 up. But anyway, this is good as well. Rook takes b3. Rook takes e6. But it does mean now that queen c4 is potentially dangerous. Now here, there's this move apparently, which again is really quite good for black. Knight e3, which would stop queen c4, and black threatens rook takes b2. This is quite a lot of pressure here on white's position. If takes, there's quite a lot of pressure here. There's bishop d4 if queen takes. Black's better there, but no, Kasparov actually, I think this was a slip up. Took on b2 and he allowed now. I mean, this is incredible. It is quite a major slip up actually, because queen c4. Apparently, this is like equal here. After this, with best play. Now Kasparov played king h8. If he plays this, it's after check, 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 check. It's going to be perpetual check, like this. There's no way of escaping perpetual checks. Yeah, but I think actually Karpov needed to win. He couldn't have this variation. I think he needed to win this. So yeah, king h8, and again here white can, it seems, force equality with rook takes. If we have a look at this position, knight d1 hits that rook, which is protecting the knight. That's awkward. Knight a3. Queen d3, and two pieces are hanging. And if white gets the move in here, g6, this is dangerous. Rook takes, check. And it's tricky actually. This is again perpetual check territory, believe it or not, in two ways. If bishop g7, then there's perpetual checks with check, check, and there's no way actually out these checks because here there's check here, and it's just the checks all the time. And if here, then we just go around here. There's checks all the time, incredibly. Just forcing perpetual check. Yeah, this pawn on g6 caused the draw there. But Karpov played e5. Now black is in the driving seat here again. He plays check. And this is really dangerous because it's a killer actually, this check, because after king h1, bishop takes g2 check, and here either knight e3, which wins the queen and discover check, or knight d4, both winning. Kasparov chose knight d4, which is even stronger actually, just winning this rook with this check. Or worse, if knight e2, we can actually go in for the kill with queen b7 check, and it's all running with checks. It's devastating. Here it's going for the kill actually, or take the rook. Yeah, it's e5. E5 is losing after queen a7 check. So yeah, the game ended pretty soon after that. If king f1, then knight e3 check wins the queen, and even wins the queen with check. Now, hang on. If king e1, we can take here first, check. Then actually come down with queen g1 check, mating. King g1, knight takes c4 is check. Yeah, it's all over. So yeah, they used to have exciting games in 1985. Yeah, some of these Karpov games, Kasparov, were really exciting, even in World Championships. So this is Moscow 1985. How things have changed today, because the openings are very different today. They're usually just e4, e5, but to see Sicilians like this, it makes for fun, exciting game, really. Yeah, any questions on this game? By the way, I think I'm going to leave it here because yeah, actually just have a look at this game this week, because the next game I want to look at is quite complicated, so I'll leave that for next week. So hope you enjoyed this one. It just shows how exciting World Championship games can be. Okay, so okay, thanks for coming, and I think I'm going to leave it here, and comments, questions, likes appreciated on YouTube. Okay, thanks so much.